Hey, it's man. I'm going to be giving you guys a tutorial on Unity, and I'm going to be giving this series kind of a step-by-step thing where it's like I'm going to be teaching you guys the basics, and then I'll be going into the intermediate stuff, then I'll go into the advanced stuff. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys more about the Unity UI and just Unity in general. So first thing you want to do is go to unity3d.com. Now, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to download it yourself, so you don't have to type it, and then you're gonna have to go to get Unity, which is just right here, and then you could choose the Plus, Pro, or Enterprise. This might not be here whenever you guys are watching the video, but yeah, it probably won't, because I'm pre-recording it. And yeah, so you could see all the benefits with it. And yeah, I'm gonna be using the personal edition, and yeah, you just press try personal, and then it downloads. And now it's gonna have you go through steps in order to download it, and yeah, you just have to click download installer. But I've already have it installed, and you would have to create an account, and there's my OBS. So yeah, so whenever you download it, you just open it up, and then you have to click new, and then you are prompted with this GUI, and then right here is your project name, and then this is just where you want to save it to, and then this is your organization. And yeah, so it could be 3D or 2D. Add asset package is just like if you have any installed. Assets are basically like things other people make, which I'll get into in a while. You basically get them from the asset store. And then enable Unity Analytics, which it tells you what it is here. Basically, it just tells you like the players' play count and all that. So yeah, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just gonna name it tutorial, and then you just press create project. Now it's gonna take a minute to load, so I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so whenever it has loaded, it should look something like this, and this is called the inspector. It's also known as the scene view. So up here on the top left, we have something called the hierarchy. This is where all your game objects are. You could, for example, press right click, and then you could do 3D object cube, and then it would spawn a cube. And then down here is the project thing, where it basically, if I were to drag this cube down into here, it would make something called a prefab. A prefab is basically a pre-made object. So if I were to now delete this cube, if I want this same cube back, I just have to drag it right back in here. Now what most people do, what they prefer, is you click up here, then you do one column layout. And yeah, so if you check to the right of the project tab, it says console, and I'll get into it later on, but this is where all your errors are going to be, and where it's the debug.log. Now over here is the inspector. It gives you all the properties of the object that is selected. For example, if I were to click this, we'll double click it, it would zoom in. Another way you could do this is if you were to, I don't know, like move away using the arrow keys. Oh, if it would work. And then click the cube, and then click it, and then press F, it would zoom in on it. And that's that. So each game object has its own specialties. Like for this, it has a box collider, cube, mesh filter, a transform, and mesh render. As for the main camera, it has a transform camera, GUI layer, flare layer, audio listener. Now the transform is a position. It includes the position, which if I were to do 0, that's making it go down. And then yeah, one way that I remember it is if you were to go click the scene view and then press 2, this would bring you into 2D mode. Now X, if you think of it like a number line, X is left and right, and then Y, you see how on a Y, I'll put a photo on the screen now. You see in a Y, that bottom part, imagine that was an arrow. That's how I remember what Y is. It's basically up and down. And then Z is in depth, so it's just like if I were to go out of 2D mode and then change the Z, it would move from there to there. So let's just put it back to -10. Now rotation, it's the X, it's all dependent on how you're doing it, and then the Y, it could be that, the 9, like 10, and we're gonna get into rotating stuff in another episode. And yeah, So the cube mesh filter, that's just basically saying what basically it's going to be. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Now, one tip I give you guys in game development is always test around with stuff. See what makes it move. I don't know. And yeah. So then the box collider, we're gonna get into colliders in another episode, and then this is just materials and all that. So another tab we have is the game. Now the game basically shows what the player sees. So if I were to move the main camera to back here and then go to game, you could see the cubes there. Another way to get into game view is if you were to press Control P, and I'll get into why it's a different color in a second. So that's another way you could do it, or you could just press this play button. Now if you were to press the pause button or Control Shift P, that's to pause, and that basically pauses the game until it's unpaused. Now any changes you make while it's paused, like if I were to move this over here and then go back and unplay, it would not save. This is because it's in play mode. You can't really do much with it. But if I were to go pause it, then move it, it moved. But then move it back. Oh, if it would move it back, you can see it moved, but then it goes back to its default place. But yeah, that's one thing. Now if you ever want to make it so it's the default position, like up here, if you want to reset it so it's at 0, 0, and then instead of this being 45, you could just put it all 0. Now you could do it like that, but another way you could is if I were to do, I don't know, put this, try to find it here. You could just do, you could just click this and then this kind of bug wheel kind of thing, and then press reset. And yeah, that's gonna put it all to its default stuff. And yeah, so that's that. Now in the project tab, if you were to right click, you get a lot more options than you do if you were to do this, like if you were to right click in the hierarchy. Now if you were to go to create, you could press folder, and then you can name this whatever. I'm gonna name this scripts, and I'm gonna get another folder by using Control D, which means duplicate, and then I'm going to press F2, which is a rename, then name this to prefabs, and then I'm going to duplicate it again, F2, and I'm going to name this to materials. And we're going to go into scripting in another episode, but for right now, it's just, this is how you can keep it clean. So yeah, a scene is basically what this is like. Yeah, so just what this entire place is. So if I were to press Control S, I could save my scene. Let's just name it scene. Let's just name it my scene. Now, if I were to create another scene, let's just create another scene. Let's just name this my scene 2, which I'm not gonna keep. See, it's like all gone. But on the bright side, you could go back here, and that's what scenes are. This could be used because if you have a main menu scene and a actual game scene, etc. But yeah, that's that. And I'm gonna drop the cube into the prefabs. And a material is basically, if we were to go to here, material, and I'm gonna get into all the other things later on, but for right now, this is the basic thing. So if we were to name this material my material, and if we were to drag it onto the cube, now that we could see that my material is added onto the cube, we could either edit it from there, or we could edit it from here. And what it is it changes the color of it. See, you can go for a nice red, you could go for a nice blue, you can go for any color in the RGB, and then, yeah, R is for red. If I were to just, it's red, and then there's green, and then there's blue, and then this is alpha. Basically, it's, yeah, just alpha. It's basically transparency in later things. But with that in mind, you can go to metallic and then make it really metallic, like metal, and you could put the smoothness down, and see. And these little buttons right there, you could just set it to something by default. This is basically like texturing. So I actually might go with You don't have to do this, but I'm gonna put it with that just for now, just so it looks cool. And you can go through here and go through all the settings. I'm not going to go into all of them because there's quite a few. But another thing to point out is that you can go to here and there's a lot more settings, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but you guys can mess around with this. And yeah, now what if you don't like this default background scene? What you could do is, instead of having that color, like this background, you can go to the main camera, change it from skybox. A skybox is basically that background, and then if you were to change this to, I don't know, black, and then it doesn't change, but what you have to do is go to solid color, and there you go. And that's all I'm going to show you guys in this tutorial. If you would like to know what's coming up in the next tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this your own color in play mode, and I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction to scripting. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye, everyone.